What's going on, guys? Welcome back. In this video I'm going to show you how to shoot a handgun in under 10 minutes. One of the things you'll hear all over social media is grip matters, your stance matters, all of the recoil management matters, only in consideration to getting rounds downrange as fast as possible. But if you cannot accurately shoot, none of that matters at all. Good example is you look at the stats of most law enforcement, you're talking under 20% hit rate. Most of them miss.
Hey big guy, how'd it go in there?
I missed.
So it doesn't matter if you get your rounds downrange faster if they're not on target. Some of you may have seen me do this, and I just want to demonstrate it again. I'm at 7-8 yards, something like that, 2 fingers, 1 foot. All right, so not exactly where I was aiming. This was my first one, but I followed up and then started aiming right here. But you see how accurate I am overall. Stance technically has nothing to do with you being able to put rounds on target. Your grip has nothing to do with you being able to put rounds on target. Recoil management and leaning over and stuff like that has nothing to do with you being able to effectively put rounds on target. All these things only aid you in your ability to get rounds downrange faster. All right, so 4 rounds, however fast it was, I'm looking over my sights. All right, combative shooting, not even in my sights, I could care less. What really matters and what doesn't, okay? I don't care about your grip. We can teacup. We can hold the gun upside down. You can do anything you want as long as you follow a couple simple principles, and I'm going to show you what they are. Grip, trigger manipulation. If you think about your hands, we do this constantly throughout the day. The hands, the fingers don't move in unison, but they move simultaneously. So typically when we squeeze a trigger or pull something that has weight, we naturally want to start applying these hands, right? So what you have to do is isolate that grip, a good firm grip. These cannot move while you're pulling the trigger, which leads us into a proper trigger press. If you'll come on this other side, Alex, please, sir. When we're talking about manipulating the trigger or a good trigger pull, there's 2 things we want to look out for: a trigger jerk or a trigger slap, okay? A trigger jerk is my fingers touching the trigger and I just slam it back. Trigger slap is at some point the finger's not touching the trigger and I just slap the trigger. Okay, that's going to give you that 630 to 730. That low and left as a right-hander, just the opposite as a left-handed shooter, okay? What we typically see is people want to jerk the trigger for 1 or 2 reasons. If you look at my hand, it's shaking. That's your body's natural frequency. It's called oscillation.
Yes, science!
Your frequency from your heartbeat, your breathing, caffeine, just nervous system, things like that, okay? We can mitigate it, but we can't remove it. So it's called float the dot, make the shot. I can see that oscillation in my sights, but my sights are still on target, so it doesn't really matter, okay? So float the dot, focus on the trigger manipulation. Want to hear something crazy? You can literally Google anyone or anything and find all sorts of privacy information about them, including your information. That's why I'm excited to tell you about today's sponsor, Aura. Aura can identify data brokers exposing your information and submit opt-out requests on your behalf. Brokers are legally required to remove your information if you ask them to, but they make it super hard to do. Let Aura handle it for you. Aura also does so much more to protect you and your family from online threats you can't really see. It's easy to set up, so you don't have to download several different apps to get things like parental controls, antivirus, VPN, password management, identity theft, insurance, and more. You get everything at one affordable price. Let Aura do the hard work of keeping you safe online so you can focus on the task with peace of mind. You can either let people continue to exploit and profit off your private information, or you can try Aura free for 2 weeks using my link, aura.com/frogman, to start your 2-week free trial, also linked below in the description. Now, back to the video. Well, the way I'm gonna show you here is through slack out. So go ahead and make sure your gun's clear, take the slack out. You'll hit this first little stopping point, your first wall, some people call it. I call it 0%. When it fires, that's 100%. So slack out and slowly start squeezing, press into it. Don't pulse. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, and the round goes off whenever it goes off, okay? I'm not trying to time the trigger breaking over. I'm trying to ensure that I show you exactly how to pull that trigger smooth and consistently. Now we can pull the trigger faster, 10, 20, 30, 40. For this particular gun, it's a 19X. It's got a very forgiving trigger. It's made for special forces. They did a really good job on that trigger. But if you fire from that 0% or that wall and you start pressing into it, you shouldn't see a lot of deviation. Where people see deviation is they're in that slacked area and then they slam it down. So the gun will hit that first wall and it's going to cause deviation in the sights to that 637 o'clock for right-handed, just the opposite for your left-handed. So a drill that you can do, and what I would recommend, is you start at the 3-yard line. It's just a confidence builder, because remember, if you're learning how to shoot right now and trying to improve, there's no reason for you to go back to 25 yards or 10 or 15. Stay right here. I can visually see it easier, and then I can build from there, okay? So I'm gonna aim. We'll aim at the A up here at the head, see what we got. So I'm gonna get into a decent stance, but I already showed you it doesn't really matter, okay? Helps with a little bit of stability, but it's not going to determine if I hit that target or not. All right, so just playing around, 4 or 5 shots, under a 50-cent piece, a little more than a quarter. I'm not worried about stance. I'm not worried about posture. I'm not worried about grip. The only thing I'm worried about is isolating the grip, trigger pull, keeping the sights on target, and that's it. The most important thing I can tell you is go slow. It's not about how many rounds you shoot, it's how you apply the rounds that you have. You can get more training in with 10 to 20 rounds than 200 or 300 rounds if you apply these simple principles in practice and don't get frustrated. One of the things that I saw in the short video that I made, does grip matter? People were like, oh my gosh, you have a red dot, take the red dot off. And I would love to see how far the target was. It was about 15 yards and it was probably about this big. So what we have here is a RTS tactical shield that we're going to clear all that up for you real quick. We're gonna go back here to about 20, 25 yards. It's definitely at least 20 yards. And see if we can pull it off, who knows? You may prove me wrong. Iron sights, 1 foot, 2 fingers, single shot. Let's go check it out. That's pretty good. Frag. So there's the round. Now here's one of the things somebody said, I would love to see you do that in 3 inches at 25 yards. What's interesting is about 0.001% of the population can actually go at 25 yards and keep a 3-inch grouping with iron sights. There's at some point when this becomes unrealistic. Can I keep a 3-inch group, maybe 5 at 25 yards? Yeah, but combatively shooting, once again, I'm just showing you majority of the stuff that you're being taught by these instructors has no bearing if you can hit a target or not. It is literally maintain your sights on target at all time, isolate the grip, proper trigger press, and it will hit the target. All right, fine-tuning that trigger press and things like that are a little bit different story, okay? So let's check this out real quick. Sorry, not a bad little shield. We're gonna jack this up with a rifle and see how it holds up. I'll put some rounds through it with a 6.5. So stay tuned for that video.